My house has always been creepy. Growing up, I've had unexplained experiences, starting from the time I was 4, and never stopping. I live in rural Kentucky, one of those towns that solely relies on coal and is 5 years behind the rest of the world. In general, the whole town is still covered in thick woods that appear to have not been tampered with in hundreds of years. My house is placed right in the middle of the mountains, surrounded by an extreme amount of woods and even a couple ponds. That gives you the setting for my home. This is where the real story begins. Growing up, I was never allowed to watch shows such as Ghost Hunters or even movies such as The Exorcist in my house because of the weird activity which goes on here. I'd experienced it from an extremely young age, and my mom, who has lived in this house her whole life, had also. However, one night my family made an exception and we all watched a documentary about Waverly Hills together. At that age, I still slept in the room with my mom due to me being afraid of sleeping in this house. That night, I was woken up at 3 a.m. to the feeling of something watching me. I felt extremely uneasy. I rolled over to look around the room. My eyes locked onto something standing beside my mom. It was extremely tall, but looked as if it had a broken back and couldn't stand up completely. It was slouched over and had extremely pale skin, and bones sticking out under the skin everywhere due to how skinny it was. It had long claws hanging from both hands. Its face was sunken in, and eyes were completely black holes. A few greasy hairs were visible on its head. I was horrified. I rolled over and covered myself up head to toe with the covers. I refused to move, or even look out the rest of the night, even though I was fully awake. Eventually, my mom finally woke up that morning. She immediately started complaining of her side hurting. She raised her shirt to look and found huge claw marks down her side. It was 3 deep wounds, which were extremely inflamed and still bleeding. I felt horrible knowing that thing did that to her while I lay beside her hidden. A couple months later, I saw the creature again, although not as horrible as the first experience. I was woken up to the creature slouched on the floor on my side of the bed. It was watching me sleep. I covered myself up again immediately, but this time got the courage to peek out and found it still looking at me. I'm not sure when it went away because I didn't dare look again. The feeling this creature gave the room was horrifying. I got chills and my hair stood on end before even seeing it the first time. I'm 18 now and obviously sleep in my own room. However, I still live in the same house. My mom still sleeps in the room where I witnessed this creature. Almost nightly, she has nightmares about something hiding in the paintings on her walls, or something coming from the ceiling in her room while she sleeps. There's one specific corner of the room where almost every dream seems to originate in. Our cats refuse to stay in that room if the door is shut. If anyone has any information about any folklore this could relate to, please tell me. I'm desperate for any information about what I've seen. I've had countless other experiences in this house, but those are the major ones. I don't even know how to explain this, but I'm not the sort to believe in ghosts, devils, demons, or cryptids. But this has changed my mind drastically. I live in the United Kingdom, in the countryside. I live on a moderately busy lane and have loads of fields behind my house. 5 minutes up the road there's a hill. It's called Cole's Peak. It's about 6 fields away from my house and a 5-minute walk from the road. Me and my 2 mates go to the peak that overlooks town and can see the Severn Bridge in a place called Stonehouse. They smoke weed, but I don't, so I can't blame it on the weed. We sat up at the top for a good hour chilling. We decided to go home as it was around 2 a.m. They walked the roadway as it leads to town where they live, and I decided to walk the field way as I didn't want to walk down the road on my own after my mates turn off. So to get to the fields, you have to walk through a little forest for around 1 to 2 minutes. It was pitch black, moon shining bright, stars in the sky. As I said before, I don't get scared, so I wasn't that bothered. I got around 2/3 of the way through the forest when I hear sticks cracking to my left, as if something heavy was walking. I glance over and presume it was a fox or badger. I get towards the gate and open it, as it leads into the field that lead to my house. I close the gate and start to walk, and that's when I heard something that I will never forget. It sounded like a Minecraft creeper, but a lot deeper sounding and bigger. I turn around, and on the path, I can see this thing, around 6 feet tall, skinny, head shaped like a dog, and had horns. I thought my eyes were playing tricks, so I just stood there, watching it, hoping it was going to vanish. Well, to my surprise, after around 5 seconds, it started to very slowly walk closer and closer until it got to the gate. It was like it didn't know what to do except just stand there. I was sweating, had red vision, and thought I was going to have an anxiety attack. I slowly walked across the field, trying to figure out what it was. I looked back halfway across the field, and it was gone. Sigh of relief, can finally calm down and just take a nice walk home. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. I was in the last field from my house in view. I knew all I had to do was jump over my fence and I was in my garden. I got to my fence and hopped over. I felt safe and secure. I was walking across my garden to get to the back door, and behind me, my drive light came on. Now, this light only comes on if it detects motion, or if it's really windy and a branch sways in front of it. It wasn't windy, nor did I walk past it. All of a sudden, I had this fear of getting snatched, so I quickly run to my back door, open it, and run to my attic converted room. My skylight window looks over my drive where the light came on, and I stood on my bed and looked out the window. That's when I saw this werewolf-looking thing with horns standing there sniffing around the cars. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't small enough to be a badger or a fox, and definitely wasn't a cow or anything like that. I got into bed and just watched movies until the sun came up, and then slept. Ever since then, I never look out my window at night, and never walk through those fields. I honestly don't know what this thing was, but it scared the crap out of me. I won't go out in my garden past 11 p.m. What was it? Can anyone help? It was a very beautiful night earlier here in Panama City Beach. The stars are out, crisp, clear, about 50 degrees outside, very calm with no real breeze. Absolutely gorgeous. Not desolate, but not crowded either. Literally perfect night. I was at Pier Park, which is a big shopping area, main street kind of thing, with a pier at the end of it on the beach. I walked out a little ways on the boardwalk that takes you to the beach to notice what I thought was someone jogging on the beach. Which was weird because joggers pretty much always have a headlamp or a flashlight if they are out there at night. This, whatever, didn't. About that time, I noticed they are going really fast to be a jogger, or a runner, or Usain Bolt. They were right near the water's edge, going what had to be 30 miles per hour or so. Their legs were not moving, It was just this weird silhouette moving very fast. It finally disappeared over one of the sand dunes. I'm a very, very skeptic person, and usually find stuff like this to be totally dumb. I have no clue what it was. Alien? Ghost? Some insanely efficient Olympic track runner? Don't know. Me and my girlfriend both saw it. Creeped us out. The way it moved kind of followed the contour of the sand. Really weird. So something weird happened today, and I'm scared. This morning my fiance, let's call him Angelo, had to take the bus to work and forgot his badge, so I had to run it over to him. I took a shortcut through a dark, unlit canal path that's about half a mile long. I had my knife, my biggest dog, and my phone's flashlight. The biggest threat around here is coyotes, so I thought I was safe. I run about a third of the way, walk another third, and then run the rest of it. Everything went smoothly, without a hitch, except when we were a few dozen yards out of the canal path. Angelo told me he saw something big behind me when I was walking, right before I started running again. He said it was 7 to 8 feet tall, slim, hunched over, biped humanoid, and ran really fast right behind me from the left side of the canal, out of an offside path to the right side, which is where I was. Then it was out of Angelo's view. There was nothing but a wall next to me, so it must have gone over it. I didn't notice, probably because I was coughing really loud in my rush to deliver his badge. Apparently, my dog who was with me had turned around to look at it, then at me, then forward, continuing his walk with me. My dog is a hound mix and follows his nose, so I probably brushed this off in the moment as hound dog nature. I should probably note the entire time I turned around every minute or so to check behind myself just to make sure I was safe. I never noticed anything. We went back to the canal after Angelo got home from work and looked for tracks. Unfortunately, the dirt was very solid and hard where it happened, so there were no tracks. But there were large 3-toed dino bird doggish tracks elsewhere all along the canal, sometimes accompanied by smaller 5-toed raccoon dog prints on the same track path. There are no raccoons out here. Can anyone help me explain what happened? This happened less than a mile away from my house, and I'm more than a little unnerved. What should I do? I live near the base of South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. There were no trees or poles where this happened, and it took place at about 4:50 a.m. Hey everyone, Dismal Hero here. Thanks for checking out the video, and if you like what you saw, make sure to subscribe so you're always up to date with my new videos. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.